Yeah, I'm just showing off some cool features of Summit, which has been a blast to kind of see develop over the last few weeks. So we've released now a couple of whiteboarding features that are a lot more powerful, just in terms of what you can do with the board. So I'm going to try to stay zoomed in so you can actually read some of this stuff. But what I want to do is just show an example of what might be a template. So for this case, we've got kind of a simple SaaS business. And for those that haven't seen something before, we got a canvas here, which lets you build these little objects called events. So you can double click and make one of these little boxes. And inside the boxes, you can type code. So like these special little set of functions, each of these here, and they do different things. Or you can even type something as simple as just a basic math expression like you do in Excel, 2 + 2. That sort of thing. But what it lets you do is build really the structure that's inside of the spreadsheets that you normally build. And then we use that structure to generate the spreadsheet data down here. So, and you can do things like organize rows and hide and show things and whatnot. So we're basically a spreadsheet down here, but a canvas up top. And what this is doing is we've got organic leads coming in. So 300 of them per month, growing at 4% per month. I put a little box around it to say marketing. I put a link here so others in my team can read the marketing plan that goes along with this. And then I've got a function called pipeline. Actually, the function is called funnel. But what this does is it's going to collect these leads, and then it's going to release 100 of them each month into our pipeline, and then convert 10% to enterprise, half of them to professional, 40% of them to entry-level tier. So now here's my cohort-based tiering, which is pretty advanced. So this wouldn't necessarily be like the first model you build in Summit. But with this template, what we're seeing is we've got a separate customer base. That's why these are called base for each of our pricing plans. And each of them has a different price on the right-hand side. And each of them has different retention actually as well. So we've got 100% retention the first month on enterprise, and then 90%. So this is high retention. And then on our entry level tier, we're assuming 70% retention after the first month, then 50%, and then 30% long term. And then professionals kind of in between. And what we're able to do then is play with, like what percentage of our new customers end up in these tiers, and what difference does that make? We can change things like our retention and say, hey, if we improved our retention, so let's look at some results here actually. So this all flows to this box called total MRR. And this is a new business. This is a very optimistic plan. So Summit doesn't try to judge folks who are creating plans that are more or less optimistic. We do try to help people create ones that are high fidelity, you might say, or high integrity. But kind of how aggressive or optimistic you want to be is up to you. In this case, this total MRR number is growing from $9,000 a month to over $83,000, over that $1 million ARR number within the next 12 months. I can obviously adjust that just by decreasing the volume of leads here. So if it's 200 per month instead of 300 per month, all I do is just change this leads number, and the model rebuilds. And so actually what's funny about that is I changed the number of leads, but this pipeline is actually a bottleneck right now. So this pipeline is basically saying that we're only working 100 of these leads per month that come in. So I'm going to increase that to 1,000 and say there is no bottleneck here in terms of getting feedback, which is actually helpful. Oh yeah, I should change the layout here. Let me see if I can. I'm going to do this. It hides part of the table, but actually, I guess I could get rid of myself too. That'd be kind of sad. Let me see. I don't want that. Still learning how to double click it. Oh, there we go. Maximize, flip. There we go. So I can kind of choose what okay, we'll try this. Cool, thanks for the feedback. So yeah, hopefully you can read the canvas better. So what's funny about this is this pipeline, let's say this was inside sales. This is just a thing that we have to, this is something we can do in the next few minutes here. So let's say this is inside sales, right? And I got a pipeline that I only have so many inside sales people that I can work, that can work deals that come into the pipeline. What I'm actually going to do is make this a little bit more realistic. So, you don't deal, let's say that you only work deals that end up becoming enterprise deals. What we can do is we can actually say, and maybe your enterprise, let's do it this way. So we've got an inside sales function, which is going to send deals to enterprise. And we can work, let's say, 25 deals a month with the team that we have, okay? Maybe let's say that's accurate, okay. And then we also are going to have a self-serve path or function. So we're going to say just self-serve, i.e. Stripe, and we're going to say that this is, basically this is just a feeder. So this is a funnel that can take, as many as you can throw at it, basically. So we're going to feed some of our sales, some of our leads are enterprise leads. So we're going to say that maybe out of the 200 a month that come in, maybe, 15% of them are actually enterprise leads and 85%, the other are serve checkout. So this inside sales function no longer feeds our professional tier or our, let's see, delete these. Actually, I'm gonna have to delete this. Let's do this. There we go. I'm gonna bring this over here. So our inside sales function is actually only going to feed the enterprise bucket. So we're gonna say that this is our enterprise sales. We can work 25 deals at a time. So what we're doing is we're flowing, think about Summit as kind of flowing math, flowing numbers from through this graph here. So what we're doing is we're sending 200 organic leads, 15% of them to this inside sales function, which I'm going to set to 15%, and then 85% go to self-serve. And now we can only work 25 at a time. We're going to send all of those to enterprise because that's the kind of deals that they work. And let's say how many of our inside sales deals actually close successfully? Let's say it's 30%. So we can use Summit as, we can put conversion rates or ratios, basically filter factors on these arrows to change the flow, right? So we start with 200, 15% go here, 25, up to 25 will come out of this inside sales function each month, and we'll close 30% of those to the enterprise tier, which is $500 a month. So that's all just captured here as opposed to spreadsheet. And then 85% of this 200 goes to self-serve, which is Stripe. And some of those are professional tier, which is $149 a month, and some of those are $49 a month. So let's also make this up. Let's say that, let's just say 50-50 for now. There we go. Okay, so now we can look at this business, which has big deals and small deals. We're self-serving these, and we can look at our forecasted revenue, which is, this business is doing super well because these close rates are really high. Let's actually start out as a SaaS business. If we're really starting out, we're not starting out at 200 qualified leads a month. Let's say we're starting out at 50. And rather than growing at 4%, we're actually growing at 10%. But that 10% is going to slow down. So we're going to slow that down to 5% going forward. Okay. So essentially what we're looking at then is, it's more realistic. So we're going to try to get to 66,000 MRR by the end of the year. We'll end up with 17,000 on the enterprise tier, 41,000 coming from the pro subscribers, and 8,000 coming from. So our highest gross revenue tier is the pro, which is getting half of our self-serve and also just a 3 times higher price. We're going to have a total of 480 customers by the end, and we're going to have basically doing almost 100 leads per month by the end of this year. So let's just look at a couple other things that we can play with here. Change this to the same blue color. This feels nice for marketing. And I'm going to drag these up to here. So our marketing is all grouped together. And another thing you can do, so one thing that's complicated about real life is, you'd love it if it turned out that, out of the organic leads that you send to inside sales, like that 15%, that all of them actually end up being the enterprise tier, like when they close. But as someone that's done SaaS sales before, we know that some of them actually end up becoming, pro subscribers or something, or even entry level, right? So what we can do is we can say that, instead of this all 30%, we close 30%, instead of all those going to enterprise, we can actually say that maybe 20% of them go to enterprise. And every once in a while, we actually get some 10% of them that sign up for professional. So it was kind of a bad fit, right? So organic leads, instead of sending them a self-serve, something about them made us think that they needed higher touch. They went to higher touch, and then turned out they really weren't a great fit for that sales process. So they ended up as $149 a month subscribers. So, anybody, if you built flows in a spreadsheet before, you know how tricky it can be to do something like this kind of branching, right? Where it's like, well, it goes from here to here, and then this splits out. But this is your business model basically on a canvas. And we can start to then ask other questions like, why don't we just expand over here? And we will do, we'll do our bank account, right? So we can also have a bank account object, which is going to be a pool. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see this better. With Summit, you can write things pretty naturally. So our bank account's a pool of money. And if you ever say the word roughly, we can actually just put in a tilde. So we'll say it has roughly, let's say $400,000 in it. So we can do K. And if we ever get to 0, we actually pause everything. So that's what that comma 0 means. And so we start out with $434,000. To make our bank account red, just to draw attention. And we're going to assume, just for the simplicity of this little demonstration, that all of our revenue is actually monthly billing, which it's not. And we can do a future episode on how to split out the cash you collect for annual versus monthly. But if it were all monthly, you could just flow all this MRR into your bank account, sort of what Stripe does every time you have a payout. This revenue by tier box, I'm actually going to expand this so it's a little bit more clear. This is our revenue zone instead of being black. Oh, this be purple too. Cool. So now the money from all this billing is going into your bank account, which is cool. You can see your bank account balance is growing from 400 and something thousand to just over $1 million by the end of the forecast. So, but we don't just have revenue, right? We also have expenses. So, kind of zooming out big picture, you can hit this home button. Here's the model again, all the way from marketing on the left, cohorts by tier, revenue by tier. All these are adjustable. And then on the right, we're just going to put in something simple here and say OpEx, which is your team. And let's see, this is a brand new company. So maybe you've got a few people, and without any value judgments, let's just say that you're spending, I don't know, $40,000 a month on team. And this repeats every month. So just the simplest possible operating expenses item here. And I'm actually going to change this to HR so it's clear it's team. And I'm going to flow this to our bank account. So I'm sending a negative value now to our bank account. And rather than growing to $1 million by the end of the year, we're at $500,000. But we're holding strong, which is nice because we got to break even. So here's those HR expenses. And I'm going to change the color on this to, I don't know, let's go with gray after all. Okay, and then we also have non-HR expenses, so just kind of other operating expenses like cloud hosting. So let's actually say cloud hosting. And this is a source of expense too, so it's a negative cost. And let's say it's $1,500 a month, but it's growing at 1% a month. Cool, so we can just write that, say monthly, and now we're also going to send that to here. So now we have our cloud hosting being paid for as well. And there it goes, boom. So it grew from $1,500 a month to $1,600 a month, which doesn't seem aggressive enough. So let's do growing at, I don't know, 3% a month. Seems more realistic. If you have a business that's doing this much, you're probably growing, costing more. Oops, sorry. There we go, 3% a month. So yeah, now you're spending, it's going to be $2,100, still not much, but it's just an example. Okay, cool. So now you have a real competition for cash, and you can say stuff like, well, what if we hired, so we're going to do a new hire. What if we hired someone and they cost us an extra roughly, so there's that tilde again, roughly all in benefits, everything, $15,000 per month. We have this new hire here, and we can even put a start date. So this new hire right now, because I didn't change it, is starting in July. I'm going to change this new hire to be, instead of hiring in July, let's hire them in, I don't know, October. So now, just like that, we change the start dates and we can rerun this thing. And you'll see now that this new hire start date gets pushed out to, oops, there we go, 10 to October. So there we go, cool. So I have a new hire starting in October, and we're going to still draw that from the same bank account here. And we're kind of developing a little area here, so I'm going to put it in the box. And this is our expenses. So here's our people costs. And do this here. People ops and HR. Cool. Sweet. Cool. So now we have an expense side, and it's still all visual. So rather than a spreadsheet, if you want to present to your team or your board or whomever, hey, where's the money go and how's it flowing? All the assumptions are just written right in these boxes, and nobody has to say like, hey, can you click cell, C3 to see what your assumptions are. So I can actually click and drag all these at once now. It's kind of a new feature, and there we go. So I think I'll pause and see if anybody has any questions, thoughts, other ideas of what I could show. I myself am thinking. Let me change the color on this. 4 questions. All right. I know what we could do. So this is actually a pretty advanced way to show retention is with these retention curves, and you might not have that at the beginning. So why don't we just for fun simplify this? So I can just a good example where it's really flexible compared to a spreadsheet. So I can just literally hit delete and delete these out. And instead of doing by cohorts by tier, actually I do want a box there, but I'll bring it back. What I want is I'm just going to do customers by tier. And we can represent churn not with retention curves, but just with plain old-fashioned gross retention. So I can say enterprise customers, which is a pool of customers starting out at 0. And we lose how many enterprise customers a month? Maybe 1%. So it's a negative 1%. Then we have pro customers, which is another pool of customers, which is maybe shrinking at 3% per month. And then we have our entry-level customers, which is, they don't last long, or we tend to lose a lot of them. So let's say we start at 0, but now we're losing, 7% of these, okay? So this is another way to do it. So you're just using gross churn instead of retention curves. I'm still going to send all of my, we're going to do the 50-50, right? So we're going to send, not 50-50, what was it? Doesn't matter. Let's make up a new number. So we're going to say that we're correct about 80% of these, and the other 20% end up buying a product that really we didn't intend for them to buy, having gone down the inside sales path. And our entry-level customers, come from here and here. And if I remember correctly, this was 50. So essentially in just a few minutes, it could have gone the other direction too, but basically in just a few minutes, we went from using retention-based modeling to using gross churn-based, and really took us, literally like a minute or two. Obviously, there's a little bit of learning, but way faster than modifying a giant spreadsheet. And we now need to reconnect our total customers here. So we still have the same total customers count working. So we're going to feed all of these to our total customers, sort of measuring. We end up with 996 customers by the end of the year. And this is just another way of doing it. So you can see enterprise customers, I'm going to change these to number, starts out at 6 and grows to 105 by the end of the year. These start out at 20, 22 each and grow to almost 300 each by the end of the year. And that's just a different way to do it. So what you could more natural thing is you actually probably start with this gross churn number, and then you move towards that retention-based modeling that you get from Profit or whatever as you kind of mature your business. But, unlike literally rebuilding an entire spreadsheet model, all I did was just, change these boxes. So pretty cool. So that was easy. So simpler is better in some cases. So customers by tier. There we go. Cool. All right. Check Twitter and see if anybody is asking anything, which is cool. If so, cool. If not, also fine. I'm just experimenting with live streaming. Ah, cool. Hey, Matthew. Stats, you're watching at some point. That's cool. Appreciated. So let's see what else we can do. So why don't we go back over to the cash part, maybe make a couple more little changes, or we could build in paid acquisition. So I'm going to hide. So something we can do is we can just literally click and hide the table. I'm going to work with the model instead here. So, so why don't we? I'm going to put a box around this and say that this is treasury, because that's what this bank account stuff is anyway. This is kind of my treasury box. Cool. Cash and treasury. And what we can do is we can actually add a paid acquisition channel to this. So right now this is all organic, it says organic leads, but why don't we add paid? So I'm going to show you how easy that is. I'm going to have paid leads, and we're going to get a lot more. We're going to buy a lot more of these, but they're going to cost us something. So let's just say we get 1,000. Let's say paid, rather than paid leads, paid clicks. Okay. Let's say that we get about 1,000 a month. So this is paid clicks, 1,000 a month. We're going to put this in our little marketing zone here, and we're going to say monthly. And I'm going to change this to blue as well. Colors is one of our paid features. Summit is $10 a month if you pay annually, $12 a month if you pay monthly, and we're still in private beta. So if you're interested, sign up for early access. That would be super cool. So paid clicks here. Now what we can do is this is 1,000 per month. I want to convert these as well to our inside sales funnel and our self-serve, but we're gonna convert a lot less because it's 1,000. So I'm gonna start by just sending 100% to both places. Give myself a little bit more room here because our marketing function got bigger. So let's just make it bigger. And we're gonna say, in terms of paid acquisition, out of 1,000, so we're getting from organic leads, we're starting at 50 and converting maybe 5. It's not going to be high, right? So maybe 2% of all the clicks end up qualified for enterprise, and then that means that I don't know, maybe 8% are qualified for self-serve, right? But you're getting 1,000, so it's a lot higher volume, and you're paying per click, right? So what we need to do is we need to also say that this is a cost of acquiring a customer, right? And so we're going to say that this is I don't know, let's say $3.50 a click. So I can have, so this isn't people in HR, this is a cost, so I'm going to put it over here. But what we can do is we can just draw an arrow and say that we want 100% of these clicks, which is 1,000, to go to this cost of acquiring customer of 3.5. And then we can flow that expense also into our bank account. Cool. So we're going to pay for those. And it's kind of a long thing. So again, art is in the eye of the beholder, but you could decide to put this elsewhere, rearrange so you don't have this huge long line. But just like that, we are now modeling this. And we could do this. We could have CAC be in our marketing box just so that if we're presenting this to somebody, they can see that it's, that's basically part of our marketing budget. But let's go back to the table. And you can see how now we have a cost of acquiring a customer of $3,500 a month, roughly. And I'm going to make it red because it's an expense. And here's the organic clicks, which is roughly 1,000 a month. And this is feeding additional customers into our, obviously into our P&L. But I'm going to make it 0 real quick just so we can see what the effect was based on all the math. Actually, that's zeroing out the expense. Let's do this. I'm going to set these to 0 real quick. So this is assuming none of them converted to either self-serve or pipeline. This is back to the old world, basically. So we're at, let's see, customers, 1,366 customers by the end. Let me just double check that. So I'm rerunning and rebuilding this session. So, okay, yeah, 996. And if I turn these to 2% and 8%, we are at, with the 2% going to inside sales and the 8% going here, we are, dramatically better off. So my guess is that this is way too optimistic. I mean, this would be a gold mine, right? So what this is telling me is these percentages are rarely found in the real world, or this cost is also, well, cost per click might be about right, but we could also make this, $35 instead for selling mesothelioma ads or something. But let's just do 8. And then out of these 1,000, my guess is that it's even lower percentage. So maybe it's 1% and 2%. There we go. We just added paid acquisition to our model. And we could also say, we're not going to kick off that paid acquisition until maybe October when we get that new hire. So we're going to change this to 10, hit enter. And now paid acquisition and CAC and all of that is going to be delayed. So you can see how both the cost, this paid clicks and cost was both delayed until October. And maybe it's actually another thing you could do is say, hey, you know what, this is just seasonal. So we start in October and we're going to end in February 1st of next year. And so now it's just a seasonal campaign, and that will also be reflected here. So the last month will be in February. And let's see. Oh, it didn't take. My bad. We're fixing this so that you don't have to enter here. Yeah, so then this will end in February. So this is kind of now a seasonal campaign, maybe obviously around the holidays or something, or winter campaigning, paid ad, and you can see the difference that it makes in terms of lift. And you can play with things like, hey, what if this was 2%? What if this was 3%? What if we got, what if we doubled our spend and paid for, 2,000 clicks instead? How would that work against our bank account balance? So we just added paid acquisition pretty quickly. And obviously this can all be modified, and I'm going to zoom out for the last view. But everybody draw these different, and it's fun to see how people's brains work. But again, it's a whiteboard that allows you to capture all of your business modeling thoughts as easily as you have them. So hope you enjoyed. I am going to go to a meeting now, but thanks for watching.